You pack up all your manias. You're sitting in the waiting room. That's right. Grab your baggage. Grab your baggage. Let's go.
Here come the bully. I'm such a meanie. I just do what I feel. Do you feel me? Do you feel me?
Greetings, all you beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. I am the old white suburbanite Chizzek-Juan. Chizzek-Juan, chickadee Chizzek-Juan, in the house. Literally, in the house. In my house. And boy, let me tell you, I'm so glad you're here with me. I'm about to react and review my absolute favorite track from Aesop Rock off of his Impossible Kid album. We're going to review, deep dive, analyze, and break apart every little nuance that I can personally of Shrunk. This is the perfect track. There's no fat on this track. Every single line, every single bar, every single phrase in this song from beginning to end is exactly where it should be. And the more I listen to it, I have this baby on heavy rotation, you can tell. The more I listen to it, the better it gets. I'm telling you, I'm just swinging off of Aesop Rock's nuts. I'm just hugging them like this, and they're just swinging pendulously. I'm just holding on for dear life like this. Without further ado, let's just get right into Shrunk and see if we can break some of this stuff down. Millennial kids and Gen Zs. Millennial kids, yes. Gen Z, Y, X, Z, whatever the gens are after the millennials, they won't know what this was like. The arcades, man. That was some fun stuff. Got some Mario in the back. I saw Galaga earlier. There's Galaga Mortal Kombat. Oh man, this takes me back. What's that? I got Street Fighter in the back.
Name is a random set of numbers and letters and other alphanumerics that changes hourly forever. My last name, 1,000 vowels fitting down a sinkhole to a susurrus. It couldn't just be John Doe or Bingo. My address, a made-up language written out in living glyphs, lifted from demonic literature and religious texts. Telephone uncovered by purveyors of the Ouija, then checked against the CBGB women's room graffiti.
Let's just stop right there. Let's just stop right there. There's too much. If we let it go for too long, we're going to miss stuff. Let's just take it from the very top. And let's just look at what each section is from each line. The beginning of each line for each bar. First one. My first name is, and he describes what his first name is. It's a random set of numbers and letters and other alphanumerics that changes hourly forever. Like a cipher, like a password or a code that's impossible to decipher. In order to, like, you can't get past this this firewall. You can't figure out what my name is or anything about me. You can't get to my identity through my name because I'm a cipher. My first name is blah 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 blah. My last name is, and he says, what are you, 1,000 vowels falling down a sinkhole to a susurrus. Susurrus. Only Aesop would use a word like susurrus. Susurrus is like it is a soft sound from which you can't make out individual noises or letters. A susurrus would be like the wind rustling in the leaves or through your curtains, or like a babbling brook, or when you can just kind of overhear something but you can't overhear the words exactly. You only hear the that kind of a sound. That's a susurrus. Even sounds onomatopoeic, right? That's an onomatopoeia when it sounds like what it is that it's describing. Susurrus. So he's like, that's my last name. My last name's just all this. Couldn't just be John Doe or Bingo. It's not something simple. No. My shit, everything about me's complex. So, okay, bunch of things happening here. First off, Start out, right? My first name is blah, blah, blah. My last name is blah, blah, blah. My address is blah, blah, blah. My telephone, blah, blah, blah. These are items, line items you fill out when you're given a form. So he's filling out a form. And he is being cryptic and combative, purposely elusive and mysterious, and he's not playing along. The entire thing is both an internal struggle, and he's now making it an external struggle. He's like, this is a battle now. This is a battle, which is why we have such a good, why we have this video associated with it, which is a very good way of manifesting how he's feeling inside. It's like you're trying to beat the video game level. It's like, no, I got to get through all this difficult shit, and at the end of this, there's going to be a boss, and I have to battle the boss. So it's not a walk in the park, and he's viewing it as a conflict.
Uncovered by purveyors of the Ouija, then checked against the CBGB women's room graffiti.
I love the ideas as to what every single line item is, right? It's my address, made up language written out of living glyphs from demonic literature and religious text. Yeah, like he doesn't live physically on any earthly plane. He is out there somewhere with the supernatural, and that's where he resides. A telephone, nobody's getting his number, because in order to get his number, you have to go through the Ouija board and then check the results of your Ouija board against the graffiti inside the CBGB women's bathroom. CBGB was a bar, it was a music venue down on either like Alphabet City or Lower East Side or somewhere over there in the southeastern section of Manhattan, Lower Manhattan. It was a pretty important place culturally. I think a lot of bands that made it big would play there. I think maybe the punk scene. I think that CBGB might be related or associated with the punk scene. So we're talking like Ramones back in the 80s and shit like that. So it's a pretty cool cultural reference. But I love what he's saying. It's like, you want to get my number? You got to go through a Ouija board and then check it through CBGB women's room graffiti. I love the way that rhymes too. It's fucking brilliant.
My socialist Sudoku, my age is obscure. My in case of emergency is in the daisies chasing bird.
My socialist Sudoku. Sudoku, the numbers game, right? How many numbers do you use in Sudoku? 0 through 9? 9? And how many numbers in your social? 9? My socialist Sudoku. My age is obscure. Is that whatever? No one's gonna know how old I am. My in case of emergency. Well, who's your emergency contact? My in case of emergency is in the daisies chasing birds. He's referring to Kirby. We're gonna get to Kirby in the next video, but that's his pet cat. He's like, I don't have any emergency contact. My emergency contact is my cat. My cat is in the garden somewhere in the backyard in the daisies. She's trying to catch birds. Fucking brilliant.
Employed by trillionaires with perfect teeth and pores, and people who open doors for the people who open doors.
Who are you employed by? Who's your employer? Trillionaires with perfect teeth and pores. And I'm also employed by people who open doors for people who open doors. So this is pretty brilliant as well, because he's describing the industry that he that this is his music industry. This is what he thinks of it. He's like, okay, so on the one end, you got the trillionaires that are perfect. You got these perfect people that are completely unreachable. But I am employed by also the lowest of the low, the people who open doors for the people who open doors. So when you think of a person who opened doors, well, that's just an assistant. Imagine being an assistant to an assistant. Somebody who opens doors for those who open doors. But that's who he is employed by. So he's saying, like, this is how high the hierarchy of the music industry goes, and this is where I am. I'm all the way at the bottom of this shit. Man, how many times am I going to say brilliant in this video? It's fucking brilliant.
My medical history is a course in SUNY Buffalo. Charlatan psychiatry and troubleshooting undertow. Nervous in the service still. I'm burger meat and purple pills here. Thank you, but call your name. Sure you will. Skipped lunch. I'm shrunk.
Oh man, oh my god, no. We gotta break down these last two lines because they're kind of big. My medical history is a course in SUNY Buffalo, course at SUNY Buffalo, SUNY being State University of New York, the public college of the state of New York, Buffalo being in the city of Buffalo, that's that specific branch, that campus, excuse me. He's like, my medical history, it's an entire college course. Charlatan psychiatry and troubleshooting undertow. So it's a college course, but it also deals with charlatan psychiatry. So here's our first little sign. Well, the sign started from the very first beat of this track, because this whole track is just a battle track. It's like, really hate what I'm about to do. But this is where he verbally announces it. He's like, charlatan psychiatry. This psychiatry is not new to me. I've dealt with it before, and I think they're all charlatans. I think they're frauds. I think they're snake oil salesmen. I don't consider it a legitimate science, legitimate medicine, and it's not helping me. So that's what he is saying by saying it's charlatan psychiatry. If there is official, real psychiatry, he's not buying it. It might be out there, but he has yet to experience it. His history is charlatan psychiatry and troubleshooting undertow. What the heck is undertow? Undertow is a current at the bottom of a body of water. Like you get swept from the current of a river. It's the undertow that takes you. Undertow can also be a particular emotional state or a mood or a state of mind that is like the substrate that everything else is attached to. What's the inner motivation? What is that inner thing that's always there, the foundational thing that keeps making you do whatever it is that you're doing, or making you feel whatever it is that you're feeling? It's like these charlatan psychiatrists are trying to troubleshoot my foundational emotional state, the thing that's making me do what I'm doing.
Is a course in SUNY Buffalo. Charlatan psychiatry and troubleshooting undertow. Nervous in the service still. I'm burger meat and purple pills here. Psychiatry and troubleshooting undertow. Nervous in the service still. I'm burger meat and purple.
Nervous in the service still. It still makes him nervous. Like, he's still not comfortable. Doesn't matter how long of a history he has with this stuff still makes him nervous. I'm burger meat and purple pills. All right, so purple pills, probably some kind of medication he's taking or has taken in the past. I've read somewhere that it could be Lexapro or something like that, probably some type of either depression or anxiety medication or who knows what. But he's also referring to himself as burger meat. Why burger meat? Aesop does not refer to himself as a fully fledged, fully realized human in any track on The Impossible Kid. He's always referring to himself as just like some bag of flesh, a zombie, a half-dead creature, not fully a person, barely there, barely conscious, barely interacting with the living world. And the final line of the first verse, fucking classic. He's like,
thank you, but call your name. Sure you will.
Here. As in, he's giving the clipboard with the form, he's giving it to the receptionist. Here. And she responds, thank you, we'll call your name. He's like, yeah, sure you will. He's got so much disdain for this for this process, for this setting, for the fact that he has to go through it. He's hating every second of it. It's so immature too, right? He's just like, thank you, we'll call your name. Like as if the receptionist or the administrative assistant, whoever is there, the nurse who is sitting there in the office, she gets the form. Like, what is she supposed, like, how is she supposed to know what kind of internal state Aesop is in, what he's dealing with. All she can do is just what she's doing at work. She's like, thank you, we'll call your name. And he's all pissed off at her. He's like, yeah, sure you will. First of all, you don't know my name. I'm someone special. I'm not just some data point. I'm not just a statistic. I'm not just an ordinary person and with my name on there. I'm something extra. I'm different. He's fighting it the whole time. He's fighting every second of it, and every second of this track is a testament to his emotional state. Let's get to verse 2.
Skipped lunch. I'm shrunk.
Before we start, on the video, right? You can't make it to the next level until you get through the form. So the form, which means the first verse, that's the first level of the game he's playing. All right, he got past the first level. Still got to get past the second level, and then he's got to go against the boss. So he got past the first level. Let's see what we have here. Oh, but no. It takes more out of you. No. He didn't just get past the first level. He might have succeeded, but he needs to put more money in. Gotta put your money in. It's not enough. This isn't gonna happen on its own. Even if you got through this, unlike other video games that let you play further, you gotta put money in to continue through your own rehabilitation.
Back to boy your manias. You're sitting in a waiting room. You're dreaming of Arcadia. You're feeling like a baby tooth. The waiting panacea, channeling your inner Beowulf in purgatory just before you pay up to fillet yourself and others. In the name of help, colon a conveyor belt. In an ego death alone, no telephone from Gabriel.
Oof, there's so much. There's so much. Let's back up. You pack up all your manias. You're sitting in the waiting room. That's right. Grab your baggage. Grab your baggage. Let's go. Now you're in the waiting room. I love the reference right there. So you got the monster from Rampage punching its way into the. you got the cross on there, so it's some medical services building, hospital, what have you. Just punch him, put him right into the waiting room that way.
You're dreaming of Arcadia. You're feeling like a baby.
You're dreaming of Arcadia. Arcadia being, supposedly it's an actual place in Greece, but you can think of it more like, in symbolic terms, Arcadia is like some type of a natural nature setting that puts you at peace. So think of something rustic and pastoral, just like a valley with a field, and it's just something that like really relaxes you and makes you feel one with nature. So that's Arcadia, right? So he's trying to mentally get into his happy place while he's there in the waiting room. And he's feeling like a baby tooth. What does it mean to feel like a baby tooth? Well, your baby tooth wiggles and is ready to come out. It's ready to fall out. It's not anchored to anything. So bye-bye. Like, you're not gonna get through this unscathed. You're gonna, whatever the action is, whatever that feeling is of falling out, of losing your place, that's how he feels. Panacea being a universal cure, something that's going to fully cure him. That's not going to happen. He's channeling his inner Beowulf. Beowulf, get to your high school literature class. Beowulf, the hero. What was it, like a Celtic or Nordic hero, mythological figure who fights Grendel, which is like a demon of the forest or whatever. That's Aesop for you. Always got to bring in something mythological, spiritual, supernatural into the mix. Yeah, you're waiting for your universal cure, and you're trying to be the hero of your own story. Beowulf. Tetris, everything seems to be going good. No, you drop a bowling ball on your Tetris game. I love the symbolism. In purgatory, right? That's purgatory in religious context means the place where you wait until judgment. So you're in purgatory. You haven't been judged yet, but you soon will be. just before you pay up, this is where you got to pay your money to fillet yourself. Fillet yourself? Like cut yourself open? Cut yourself? What happens when you cut yourself? You bleed out. Everything comes out when you fillet yourself. And it's supposed to also represent how he feels about the process. This is going to be painful. They're going to cut me open and everything's going to be revealed. Plus, the cutting part, like, that's not going to feel good at all. So he's trying to express all of these anxieties and fears, both of what he has to communicate and how it actually is for him almost psychosomatic, how it actually makes him feel like he's going to be going through some type of a physical torture. Just before you pay up, you got to pay in order to do this to yourself.
Self and others in the name of help. Cold on a conveyor belt. In an ego death alone, no telephone from Gabriel.
In the name of help. Coal on a conveyor belt. You're feeling like a baby tooth? You're feeling like coal on a conveyor belt? Why? Coal, what happens to coal on a conveyor belt? It falls into a fire. Usually used for something to keep some kind of massive machinery going and to keep a furnace going. It's too difficult to keep on shoveling your coal into the oven, or into the furnace. So you have a conveyor belt in which the coal just all falls at a steady rate down into the fiery pit. So that's what he's coal on a conveyor belt. He's a baby tooth. Later on, he's going to say how some other things that he feels like. I think a human cannonball is another one, but we'll get to that. Into ego death alone. Here he's breaking this down. He's like, look, I got to kill the ego. This thing means I'm going to kill my ego. So whatever I think about myself, or whatever self-respect I have, or whatever pride I have in myself, whatever the other side of being self-conscious, all of that shit has to go. That shit's gonna die. I'm gonna go into ego death, and I'm going there alone. No telephone from Gabriel. Gabriel being an angel, avenging angel, protective angel, the first angel, whatever. He's not getting help from anybody else. He's going into this shit alone, and he's gonna have to go through something that's gonna kill his ego.
I'm half a human, combing over home and garden stone. Gold chains over turtlenecks, cigars over cologne.
Second favorite bar in this song. I'm half a human, combing over home and garden stone. That flows so good. Half a human. Again, he's like burger meat. He's half a human. He never a fully fledged, realized human being. Always missing something, always incomplete. I'm half a human. Combing over home and garden. Home and Garden being a magazine. He's in the waiting room. He doesn't even feel like a complete human. He's just trying to kill time until it's his time to get into the psychiatrist's office. He's looking through these magazines, combing over home and garden, stoned. He's fucking high, man. Gold chains over turtlenecks, cigars over cologne. I think what he's saying here is that other people in the waiting room, he's not there alone, there's others with him, and this is what he's noticing. Gold chains over turtleneck, cigar over cologne. He can smell somebody's, just imagine this person. There's somebody there with a turtleneck on, a gold chain over that turtleneck, and they smell of cigars even though they have cologne on.
1,000 shitty paintings wrap around a wounded animal. Womb with the Schubert, he's a future human cannibal.
1,000 shitty paintings surrounding a wounded animal. Imagine, he's the wounded animal. Again, burger meat, a baby tooth, coal on a conveyor belt. He's half a human. Now he's a wounded animal. Just all of these different ways of describing himself about what he's feeling and what he's anticipating to have happen to him. 1,000 shitty paintings. So if you're ever sitting in the waiting room, you got a bunch of paintings around you, and it's supposed to set up this scene, and it's a contrived, artificial attempt at making the place pleasant or comfortable. But it's anything but. He's anything but comfortable. Woo him with the Schubert. He's a future human cannibal. Here we go with the cannibal. What's Schubert? I don't know for sure. I think Schubert is classical music. So picture it, right? Cheesy paintings, pictures up on the wall, cheesy wall art. Random people, some dude with a turtleneck and a gold chain. You can smell the cigar on him. And you got classical music playing in the background. And what's the next line?
Little fuckers fighting, mother hiding in her hulu. I'm climbing up the stucco. Let's get to the seppuku.
Favorite part of the entire track. Oh man, I gotta hear that again. Listen to this.
Mother hiding in her hulu. I'm climbing up the stucco. Let's get to the seppuku.
In addition to this dude in the turtleneck and the chain, you got some little kids and they're fighting, and their mother is ignoring them. She is hiding in her Hulu being like Netflix or whatever. It's a streaming video service. So she's hiding in her Hulu and not paying attention to what the kids are doing. And here's Aesop in the middle of all of this. And he's just like, I'm climbing up the stucco. Stucco being the walls. He's saying he's climbing up stucco walls. Stucco being a material you can make the external part of a wall out of. And he's like, I'm climbing up the stucco. Let's just get to the seppuku. Seppuku, another term for it is harakiri. It's a ritualized honor suicide that the samurai used to do. It's ritualistic self disembowelment. You take your what do they call those swords? The katanas, or like a uchikatana, or maybe it's some kind of a small Japanese sword, and you use it to impale yourself, and then you cut your belly sideways, effectively killing yourself, disemboweling yourself in the process. He's like, let's get to the seppuku. Let's get to the part where I just cut myself open and everything comes out. Both, like, everything needs to come out, and also, again, that psychosomatic thing, like, this is actually going to physically hurt. He's describing it like it's going to physically hurt. Also, the seppuku, the disembowelment, again, cutting yourself open, he's basically repeating the filleting yourself. Same concept, right? Two different ways of saying the same thing. Let's get to the seppuku. Uh-oh.
That pretty penny turned a prickly into Benji. If you save up all your winnings, then you get to count your blessings. I finally crunched the budget up and punched the button. She called my name out and pushed me into an oven. The fuck? I'm shrunk.
All right, let's stop right there. That part is so good. So we finish out verse 2. He's saying, I finally crunched the budget. I punched the number, meaning I called. She opened the door, pushed me into an oven. Again, pushed me into an oven. Coal on a conveyor belt. I'm a future human cannonball. All of these descriptors of him saying, I'm basically going to hell. This is going to be hell. This is going to be just the worst shit ever. And it's described in this sense as, all right, we're done with round 2. We're done with the second verse. Now it means we're going to go fight the boss. And what do we see in the video? We see, yes, you did make it past the second level, but now you got to pay again. Because that's what you do in real life. In video games, you don't have to pay if you beat the level. In real life, you have to pay to get further. So I love that part of the video. And this is the best part of it here. Now it really is a battle. This is the boss, right? So the psychiatrist is the boss at the end of the video game. And I love how they have stats for each. Aesop, low life. He doesn't have that much life. Typical. His flow, I love that they put that shit in. And also what's high is his neurosis. His neurosis is almost maxed out, just like his flow. I'm right there with you on that flow, though. I gotta give it to you. You flow over these beats super nice. But then we also have to look at what how the psychiatrist is described. What are the psychiatrist's stats? Dr. Izzo. A lot of strength, not much agility, which is supposed to mean not much ability to flex, to bend your own thoughts and ideas in such a way so that they align with the other person. So they have different stats. Ace and Dr. Izzo are incompatible. They can't find a way to work together. Love that superiority complex being completely maxed out. It's like, look, you're the one with the problem. I'm the one with the solution. Obviously. And not only that, but I'm better than you. This is the way that Aesop is trying to characterize the psychiatrist. Whether the psychiatrist actually is like that or not, we don't know, but this is the way that he is telling the story. And he hates them for it. He's like, I hate you. You think you're so smarmy and smart. You don't know shit. You're all charlatans. And in terms of how the song progresses, you have this break between the second and the third verse, because it's like a cutscene in a video game. This is where you get ready. This is it. We're about to start. And check out the beginning of the third verse. You don't have any percussive sounds whatsoever. You just have that reverberation in the back, just that. They took out intentionally the percussive elements in the first few bars in order to ratchet up that tension even further, to get like all the way to max.
She says, I'm not your enemy. I said, that sounds like something that my enemy would say. Instead of playing off the chemistry, she said, you're being difficult. I said, I'm being guarded. You're $250,000 dead. I get more guidance from my barber. Look.
What an opening salvo. I'm not your enemy. Well, that's something that my enemy would say. Instead of playing off that chemistry, right? Hey, that's funny. Like you're supposed to. There's supposed to be this ping pong effect, and this way you respond to volleys, the way you go back and forth. And she's not responding the way that he wants her to, right? That was a joke. She could have played off of that. She could have gone with that in a different direction. Instead, she's got this superiority complex about her. She says, "You're being difficult." Just shuts him up right away, right? He's actually working it through his angle. He's like, you could be working with me with this. We could find common ground if you could like laugh at my humor and understand this is my sense of humor. But she's like, you're being difficult. So he just shuts down. He's like, difficult? No, I'm not being difficult. I'm being guarded. Like, I'm not gonna divulge shit that I can't even figure out about myself to you. Who the fuck are you? You're $250,000 dead. That's not a very smart thing to do. And you want to talk to me like as if you know what's wrong with me? Man, fuck you. I get more guidance from my barber. Brilliant. Just brilliant. How much does that say, right? That tiny little exchange, and you can imagine it happening in your head. I love it. Fucking love it.
I said, I'm being guarded. You're $250,000 dead. I get more guidance from my barber. Look, I'm not good at this. I grew up in a noogie fest. You built your wolf's pie. I said goodbye to all your cookie puss.
Look, I'm not good at this. He's like, look, I'm not good at expressing my feelings and talking about my feelings and my internal emotional states. I grew up in a noogie fest. For those who don't know what a noogie fest is, a noogie, first of all, a noogie is when you grab somebody in a headlock and you start ruffling their hair with your knuckles and it hurts. It kind of like burns, it hurts when you do that. And it's a way of, well, I don't know, in today's society it might be looked at as bullying. The generation that I and Ace are from, this was the type of conflict and conflict resolution that they grew up with. So this is how you handle problems. You don't talk about your feelings. You don't like stop everything and express your emotions. You just you do it the masculine way, right? You know, yeah, just punch the shoulder or whatever. Give the noogie. You grew up in a noogie fest, like a sausage fest, you have the noogie fest. It means like that was the way of doing things. And you build your walls up high, or say goodbye to all your cookie puss. Like you bring those walls up, and you be what is the stereotypical 70s, 80s definition of being a man, of being male. You don't start crying and say, oh, that person hurt me, or I didn't like that. No. You don't let them know how you feel. Because if you do that, things are going to be even worse for you. You can say goodbye to all your ice cream. That's what cookie puss is. It's a certain type of ice cream that was popular in the 80s. They're going to just take you for all you're worth. No, put your walls up, be tough. And don't tell people how you feel inside. That's only going to get you a worse outcome than what you're dealing with already. So, absolutely brilliant. He's like, look, I'm not good at this. Besides, how am I gonna express to you how I feel when I don't know how to bring it out of myself?
Good at this, I grew up in a noogie fest. You built your walls up higher, said goodbye to all your cookie puss. Here's one. Every time my telephone buzzes, I see images of hooded riders setting fire to hundreds.
Every time my telephone buzzes, I see images of hooded riders setting fire to hundreds. I like how he presents it like, okay, here's a challenge for you, Miss Expert. All right, here, let's see what you really know about this whole like internal mental states. All right, you fucking charlatan. Every time my telephone buzzes, these are the images that I conjure in my head. What the fuck does that mean? Well, who knows what the heck it means, but we know how it feels. Or at least I have a pretty good idea of how that feels. I think that if he's being honest, if Ace is being honest with this line, and he genuinely gets images of hooded riders setting fire to hundreds, he's expressing a certain type of dread and fear and anxiety and bad news and fear and more fear every time the telephone rings, which makes perfect sense and is something you would expect if what he has been doing up until that time is trying to get himself as far away from human contact, as far away from people as possible. He basically was, as we've learned in the previous videos, he's basically just said goodbye to society. He moved into a barn somewhere and simply wanted to be left alone and not engage with people, not have any human interaction at all. So whatever the reason for it is, nonetheless it fits. It only makes sense that he would not want to answer the phone, and he's scared of what might be on the other side, what bad news there might be. Or if it's not news, it's just people, and that means that he has to interact with them, and he's avoiding interacting with people. He doesn't want that. So it makes sense. And what does she say about that?
Every time my telephone buzzes, I see images of hooded riders setting fire to hundreds. She said, when you start getting all expressive and symbolic, it's impossible to actualize an honest diagnostic. I said, when you start getting all exact and algebraic, I'm reminded it's a racket, not a rehabilitation. Okay, agree to disagree as grown-ups from opposing clans, honoring the push and pull. I should have called the Scholamans. Oh well. Preservation is a doozy. Will you be needing another appointment? Absolutely. I'm shrunk.
Oh my god, that is just the best. All right, we got to let's break down the last part right here. So the psychiatrist answers back. She says, well, when you get this expressive and symbolic, it's impossible to actualize an honest diagnostic. I can't figure out what's wrong with you if you're just going to give me these vague, symbolistic, vague metaphors. I don't know what to make of all of that. And what he says back, right? It's a battle. It's going back and forth. It's like, well, every time you get that precise and algebraic, it reminds me that this isn't a rehabilitation. This is just another. You're just a charlatan like the rest of them.
Honest diagnostic. I said, when you start getting all exact and algebraic, I'm reminded it's a racket, not a rehabilitation.
throughout this verse, the enemy, in this case, it being the therapist, that bear, you can see the bear is getting larger and larger and more difficult to defeat. And by the end of this verse, it's just kicking Aesop's ass. I mean, he's just getting demolished, right? But that is progress. Because in this last line, it explains it. Agree to disagree. Like grown-ups. We're all adults here. Agree to disagree. Like grown-ups from opposing clans. Look, this is where you're from. This is where I'm from. We're never going to see eye to eye. But I respect the back and forth. I understand it's part of the process. It needs to be done.
Disagree as grown-ups from opposing clans, honoring the push and pull. I should have called the Scholarman.
Honoring the push and pull. I should have called the Scholarmans. Like, I get it. I respect the process. I acknowledge it has to be what it is. It sucks. I should have called the Scholarmans. Scholarmans is it's like a magic school in Transylvania or something. Just more of Aesop's references into the supernatural and demonic and all that other shit that he constantly focuses on. It's like, instead of calling the therapist, I should have just called that black magic school in Europe. Oh well. Preservation is a doozy. Will you be needing another appointment? Absolutely. That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part. Well, okay, I'm lying. I said my favorite lines were like 2 other lines in the past, but this is brilliant because will you be needing another appointment? Yeah, I guess. Maybe. He's not saying maybe. He's not saying like, yeah, whatever. No, he's saying absolutely. Like, preservation is a doozy. Like, if I want to survive, if I want to improve, if I want to get out of this funk that I'm in, I need to do this. The whole song and the whole video, we're hearing about how much he fucking hates this, how much he doesn't trust it, how much angst he has with it, how combative he is, how much of a conflict, how much of a burden it is to go through all of it. And at the very end, what do you get? You get irony. This is just the most sweet, delicious irony. Will you be needing another appointment? Absolutely. Not just yes. Yes. Very much yes. Absolutely. I gotta do this. It's a way of saying, look, I know I've been saying shit from the beginning, but deep inside, I know. Deep inside, I admit it. I need to do this in order to improve. So it just, on top of this incredible journey that you go through, the very last line lets you know that he knew all along. He knew all along that this is the best thing for him. And he acknowledges that, hey, charlatan psychiatry, I know I feel that way, but what else am I going to do? This is the best option for me to get better. I have to do this. Fucking brilliant. Brilliant.
Oh well. Preservation is a doozy. Will you be needing another appointment? Absolutely. I'm
shrunk. Look at that. Successful session. He's beaten to a pulp. The therapist did what he was supposed to do. In order to win, you have to lose. Death to the ego. Brilliant. Fucking Aesop. I mean, what do you want? I'm shrunk. And you gotta insert more coins to continue. So if you want to keep on making this progress, you gotta pay. You gotta pay. Nice little criticism of how the system works. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. All right, everybody. I appreciate you watching this far, if you made it this far. And I look forward to bringing you the last one, Kirby, number 5. I'm going to do Kirby, the last one of our pentaset, whatever you want to call them. The last track out of this 5-song group that we're doing a deep dive on. Much appreciate you sticking around, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Tap 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 tap.
Chizzek-Juan.